start.
Hey there everyone in the wonderful land of YouTube. This is Mr. Awesome here for an awesome deck profile of my G-Regulation Neo Nectar deck. So to start, my starter is Spring Herb Herding Maiden Ozu. It's Generation Break 1. Well, first it's Forerunner, so when you ride it of the same plant, it moves to a rear guard anywhere you want. Pretty handy. And when you have Gen Break 1, which if you don't know what Generation Break is if as long as you have a stride face up on your Vanguard or in your G zone, they count towards that, in case you didn't know. Anyway, when you have Gen Break 1, you can Counterblast 1 and move this to your soul, and you can choose one of your Grade 2 or lower rear guards and clone it. It's pretty handy. Now, personally, I run 2 because there's sometimes when you have Grade 1s that you don't have many Grade 1s to clone, like, it just happens, like if you're a PG, you don't want to call it and clone it, so I have another one so I at least have something to clone as a boost at the beginning if need be, and if I drive check it, hey, 10k shield, why not?
I'll save it for the block.
Then for triggers is pretty standard. I'm like one of those generic YouTube guys who run 4 heal triggers because sad to say they're kind of neat. They're kind of mandatory in like every single deck in the game, but they're still pretty good. Then I run 4 critical triggers because criticals are actually probably one of the most powerful triggers in this game. My next triggers, I probably should say, I guess, 4 of the Flower Garden Main Myless critical trigger. I only say this because it actually has an effect when it's on rear guard. When your Vanguard attacks, that's a Grade 3 or higher with Ranculus in its name. You can move it to Soul to draw to give it 5,000 power and draw a card. So it's not bad. Then the final trigger I run is 4 stands of Maiden of Daybreak. Now this is the Generation Break 1 stand from the trial deck. What this card does is when you call it to rear guard, you can put it to the top of your deck to select one of your rear guards, and you can choose 2 copies with cards on the field with the same name, and they get 5,000 power. And you shuffle the back of the deck, so you can abuse stand triggers. And with how some of a certain Neo Nectar stride works, it's funny. We'll get to that later. Then to start with Grade 1s, we'll just start with the basic, what most all decks run. 4 copies of their Perfect Guards. Now this is the G Perfect Guard that when you put in the guard circle and you have another one in your job zone, you can unflip a card in the damage zone, or as Bushiroad now decides to give the term of counter charge. Pretty good, especially, this is pretty good in every deck, doesn't say that. Then, my next Grade 1 is Early Flowering Maiden Pia. I run that at 4. This is the main Grade 1 I want to clone with all the Neo Nectar effects. Now its effect, once per turn, Gen Break 1, I can choose 2 normal units from my drop zone and shuffle them back into the deck to select 1 unit, and I choose up to 4 copies of that same unit to give 3,000 power. And if you're wondering, if you have 3 of these, you can use each effect of them once, so it's 3 times. You can use the effect in the turn, which is kind of funny, especially for power creeping. Then I run 3 Valkyrie of Reclamation Padme. This is when you play it, you can when you play it, you reveal Grade 3 to search for your Break Stride Grade 3, which I'll tell you about later. Add to your hand, and you discard a card, and it's pretty much the stride fodder. You can discard it from your hand to pay for stride because it gets +2 to its grade from in hand. Then my final Grade 1s is 2 copies of the 8K Vanilla from the trial deck because I could run a 4th of the stride fodder, but then I'd have 1 copy of something else, which wouldn't really make much sense. So I took one of that out for 2 of these, so if I have one of these, I can at least clone the other, so it gives me options. So I don't have to waste a cloning effect if need be. Now on to Grade 2s. We'll start with 3 copies of Wind Wheel Dragon. Pretty much, this is the glorified damage unflipper. At Gen Break 1, when this attack hits a Vanguard, you unflip 2 cards in the damage zone, which is actually pretty relevant. Because unflipping 1 is still nice, but especially when you have a bunch of counterblast that choose multiple effects, being able to unflip that too is definitely very helpful. So, yeah. I run 4 copies of Grace Knight, which is the Trial deck 12k attacker. Gen break 1, when it attacks a Vanguard, it gets plus 3,000 power. It's definitely pretty good to use. Same thing with Windwheel Dragon, especially when they attack and they guard it, and then you happen to get a stand trigger to restand, you have another chance to abuse their effects. It's always handy. The final grade 2, 4 copies of the, what's it called again? Flower Chambermaid Salina, I guess. Gen break 1, when it's called to rear guard, you can counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. If you have a grade 3 Vanguard with a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Ranunculus, I think it's pronounced. I don't know, from Vanguard. Thank you. You can pay the cost. If so, choose one of your grade 2 or lower rear guards and clone it to rear guard and give it plus 2,000 power. So you can clone this and then clone a grade 1 to help build up your field in the air at the start when you're starting to stride and all that. It's actually pretty helpful. Now on to the grade 3s. Kind of the MVP. The Ranunculus Flower Main Asha, and yes, I only have 1 hot stamp. I'm not top tier. I'm sorry.
If you do this, you can actually take
It's a break stride effect, which was explained in an earlier video. Which pretty much is, I'll say it again, which when it activates when you stride on top of the effect, you pay the cost and get the effect. What this one does is when you stride on top of this, you counterblast 1, select one of your rear guards, and Superior Call another copy of it to your rear guard, and it gets plus 2,000 power. Its Gen break 2 effect is as long that all of your units get a continuous ability that as long as that you have another copy of a unit on Vanguard or rear guard, they all get plus 5,000 power. Which, especially after you get the 2 strides off, it's actually pretty helpful. My backup grade 3 that I run is for Maiden of Frill Lord? Yeah, or Frill Drode. I apologize. Its ability is when an attack hits a Vanguard, Gen break 1, when an attack hits a Vanguard, counterblast 1, I call another copy of itself to rear guard.
Very well.
Okay, we're gonna swap teams.
And that's pretty much it. I call another copy of itself to rear guard after it hits a Vanguard. So, especially if it hits a Vanguard, it can get extra attacks. It's really helping. And I guess if I guess I can stand it again, and even though I'm attack, I can call another one just for multiple attacks. Now, if I run a break stride, there's obviously gotta be strides involved, right? So now back to the final part, the stride deck. I run 1 copy of Princess of Flower Spring Aviora. This is the one that came in the trial deck. It's not horrible, but it might be replaced with that. I think the new Asha grade 4 that's coming out in set 6. Just gotta wait for its effect. But what this does is when an attack hits a Vanguard, you clone one of your rear guards, and it gets plus 2,000 power. Simple stuff. Now we get to the MVP or the VIP. Sacred Tree Dragon, Jingle Flower Dragon. This is like a stupidly good game ender here. What this does is, once per turn, you can activate the effect to flip up another copy of it in your generation zone. If you have 2 or more face-up cards in your generation zone, you select one of your rear guards, and all of your units would get plus 2,000 power for every copy you own. So if you have if you have 3 copies of the grade 1 in the back row and you select that, every single one of your units, the ones in the back row, the rear guards, and even the Vanguard would get 6,000 power. So it's 12k to every single column. It's nuts. It's a pretty good game ender. Another card I ran a tech of is the Flower Princess of Spring's Beginning, Primavera. What this does is, when it attacks a Vanguard, you can counterblast 3, choose 5 normal units from your drop zone, put it to the top of your deck and discard a card, and then you choose 2 units, face-up rear guards, and you can clone them. And you can clone up to 2 copies of the selected rear guard, so it can give you 2 whole fresh columns to attack with if need be. It's just, plus if you're playing against a deck that's like Kagero or something that focuses on retiring your rear guards, it'll definitely help you reuse them and fill your deck in so you can still do some cloning. And the final unit that I have in my generation zone is 2 copies of Dream Spinning Ranunculus thing, Asha. What this does is, once per turn, you can activate the effect to flip up another copy of itself. You would then, I actually don't use this much, so I read it. I'm sorry. you choose one of your rear guards, and if you have 2 more rear guards with the same name as the unit you chose, your entire front row would get plus 5,000 power till the end of turn. Then if you have 2 or more face up cards in the G zone, you can choose one of your rear guards and summon a copy of it, and it gets plus 2,000 power. So that was my Neo Nectar deck profile. Hope you all enjoyed it. So until next time, keep on card fighting.